Welcome to another episode of Growing in the Faith, and thank you for joining me. Wherever you are, I hope you are growing in the faith. This should be an episode of Lessons in Leadership, but our Lessons in Leadership episodes will no longer be scheduled as before and will now come up from time to time as part of our regular scheduling. So please keep looking out for them. These days, there is a lot of focus, and rightly so, on the younger generation. How to get it right, planning your life well, and the like. But what if you've already lived, shall we say, some significant part of your life? Yes, you are in the older generation. Well, if you are, then this message is directed to you. Let me be specific. If you are close to 60 and upwards, you are in the older generation. Hope that doesn't sound too ancient. I'm not ashamed to say I'm in that group, so I can say I'm speaking to myself too. This is a group I think are a bit neglected, and hopefully, this message can bring some hope and encouragement to those in this category. You might say, how does this message apply to you if you aren't yet in the age category this message is directed at? That may be so. But the important thing to understand is that a message that isn't relevant to you today can become relevant tomorrow. For example, perhaps you are young now. One day, God's sparing your life, and if the Lord tarries, you will be older and the message will become relevant. So, if you aren't yet in the direct category which this message addresses, please bear with me. Please listen and file it away somewhere, by God's grace, for some time in the future. You can also share it with someone you know who is already in this category. This is how messages work. It may not be for you right now, but someone else can benefit. As one gets older, it's possible to feel unfulfilled, perhaps have regrets, or feel one has not attained all that one should have. Perhaps you've struggled with a long-standing challenge or stagnation in one or more areas of your life. You are wondering, is it too late for you? Be encouraged. It's not over. You might have made mistakes and choices you regret, but even now, they don't have to define your life. The world doesn't make it any easier because once you attain a certain age, you become officially old for the workplace. But let's hear what the psalmist said in Psalm 92. I read, "But the godly will flourish like palm trees and grow strong like the cedars of Lebanon, for they are transplanted to the Lord's own house. They flourish in the courts of our God. Even in old age, they will still produce fruit. They will remain vital and green." Even when you get older, you will bear fruit. You will not stop bearing fruit. You will still flourish, your age notwithstanding. Let this reality take root in your mind, because once it does, it will impact your approach to all you do. It's never too late for destiny to be fulfilled in your life. Moses answered the call of God at 80 years old. His brother Aaron was 83 years old when he took on the calling to support Moses in fulfilling his assignment of delivering the children of Israel from bondage. And Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. So it's never too late to accept the call of God and fulfill your destiny. With God, age is not a barrier. Abraham was 100 years old when God's promise was fulfilled in his life, the birth of Isaac, the child of promise. Now, Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. He had been unhappy about his situation of not having an heir that was his own child and complained to the Lord, as we are wont to do. Sarah, his wife, was 90 years old when she had Isaac. In fact, the Bible says she was past the time of childbearing. Biologically, it was over for her, but with God, it was not. Caleb got his promised inheritance at the age of 85. He didn't receive it for 45 years, but he eventually did. And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years, ever since the Lord spoke this word to Moses while Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, here I am this day, 85 years old. This was when Caleb finally received what had been promised to him by the mouth of Moses 45 years earlier. It's never too late to receive God's promise. You may feel the clock is ticking, but God's promise for your life will still come to pass. Time hasn't run out. You are getting older, yes, but it's not over. God's program for you isn't finished. The world says it's all over, but God can start with you even now. No matter your age, you must be able to make the best of your gray years. by taking advantage of new opportunities and learning new things. But this may require you to serve under or learn from a younger person. Can you do this? Can you defer to or be led by a younger person in your gray years? Aaron was under the leadership of his younger brother Moses. Though they were both already old, Aaron was 83 and Moses was 80. Aaron, the older, was under his younger brother's leadership. Even at this stage of your life, this may be what is required of you to fulfill your own destiny. Some of us, however, cannot defer to a younger person either due to pride or for cultural reasons in which an older person must always be the leader. God is not bound by such rigid conventions as we've seen. He uses whom he chooses the way he chooses. You may need to serve under the leadership of a younger person. You may need to learn something new under a younger person, especially in this technological age. Don't let your age become an instrument to hinder you. The fact that you are serving under a younger person doesn't mean you have nothing to offer. Your wisdom, because of your years, can't be easily come by. If you are a Christian and you are an older person, you have a very important role to play in the kingdom, and that is ensuring that the knowledge of God is passed to the next generation. How is it that from one generation to the next, the knowledge of God can suddenly be lost? This is what happened after the death of Joshua and others in his generation. I read, when all that generation had been gathered to their fathers, another generation arose after them, who did not know the Lord, nor the work which he had done for Israel. Sadly, we see it happening today. This is where you come in. First, you must pass on the faith to the next generation. Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. The psalmist here, while praying for God to be with him, even when he became old, was particular about passing on the faith to the next generation. This should be our focus as we get older. Nothing we can leave for the next generation can compare with passing on the faith. This is especially relevant in the family setting between generations of a family. I'm reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. Paul wrote this to Timothy. Timothy's faith was the result of generational effort. Clearly, his mother and grandmother communicated their faith to him. Even if you don't have children or grandchildren, it doesn't matter because you are in a community, whether it's your extended family, church, or locality. There are younger people in each of these settings who need an older person to point them to the truth. That's what matters. As an older person, the kingdom needs you to be an example. There aren't enough examples modeling godly conduct for young people to see. You can be that example. Hear what Apostle Paul wrote to Titus. Teach the older men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, and sound in faith, in love, and in endurance. Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. If you are an older man or woman, this is what is expected of you. Let others, especially the younger ones, see you and see godly conduct. That will set an example for them. Brother, sister, for you who fall into the category that this message addresses and are perhaps despondent or even depressed about how things have turned out so far, please be encouraged. Yes, you are older, but it's not over yet. I pray that the glory of the latter will be greater than the former. Don't think it's too late to be fruitful because with God, nothing is impossible. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and have learned some things from it. All the scriptures referenced in this episode will come up on the screen at the end. This channel will be on break in August, but we will be back, God willing, in September. Until then, bye-bye, and God bless you as you continue to grow in the faith. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications. Thank you.